Yeah, he's doing a great job. If he makes those big plays while he's moving around the pocket, and there was a couple scrambles this last week that, the touchdown and then the one where he kind of just up the middle for like 15 yards or however far it was. Those are huge plays. It's going to make the defense maybe spy or change their thought process, and it makes the defensive linemen like, we got to stay in our rush lanes instead of kind of going crazy. And so if he
vocally, anything to say? I guess it's tough. Just one more. What do you think? You have to show to the coaches just to have that belief in you that you can be ready. What can you say?
Yeah, he's doing a great job. If he makes those big plays while he's moving around the pocket. So don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? Let's begin. That wasn't praise, that was a message. And if you've been around football long enough, if you've watched enough locker rooms, enough tense seasons, enough we're taking it week to week disasters, you know exactly what I mean. Because offensive linemen, they don't talk like that by accident. They don't go out of their way to paint a picture unless they're trying to tell you something without getting fined, without getting dragged into a headline, without saying the quiet part out loud. But they said it anyway. Contagious. Confidence. Settling in quicker. Those aren't just compliments, bro. Those are code words. Those are locker room words. The kind of words that only pop up when players are comparing, when they've lived through one thing, and now they're feeling something totally different. And the wild part is, it wasn't just one guy saying it. It's multiple teammates echoing the same vibe, the same language, the same energy. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's the locker room syncing up. That's the team basically looking at the cameras and saying, yeah, this is our guy. Because here's what people don't understand. When a QB has real juice, the entire building feels it. Not just the receivers, not just the fans. The offensive line feels it first. They know when a quarterback is scared. They know when a quarterback is playing not to mess up. They know when he's checking down because he doesn't trust what he sees, or he doesn't trust what the coach wants. But when they say his confidence is contagious, that means the huddle is different. That means the linemen are coming off the ball different. That means everybody's chest is a little higher, the energy is louder, and the defense can feel it too. A confident quarterback changes everything. It's not just about scrambling for 15 yards or making a crazy throw rolling out, it's the fact that defenses now have to think. They can't just tee off. They can't just pin their ears back. They gotta spy. They gotta stay disciplined. And when a quarterback forces the defense to hesitate, the whole offense gets to breathe. So yeah, that hook wasn't teammates being supportive. That was the locker room breaking script. That was the rare moment where players, publicly, choose the quarterback without actually saying, we choose him. That was them applying pressure without naming names. And whether you love it or hate it, that's how power shifts start in an NFL building. Because now the question isn't, can he play? That's already been answered. The real question is, if the locker room already knows who the quarterback is, why did it take this long for everybody else to admit it? Here's the part nobody wants to talk about, where he actually stood inside that building before all of this blew up. Because on the surface, the explanation sounded clean, safe, almost responsible. He's not ready yet. He needs more time. We're being patient. You've heard it 1,000 times in this league. It's the language coaches use when they want to slow something down without admitting they're unsure, or worse, threatened. And let's be real for a second. The depth chart wasn't about talent. It was about comfort. Experience got weaponized as the excuse. Starts, systems, reps. The idea that because one quarterback had more time in college or more familiarity with certain concepts, that meant he deserved the first crack. And look, that logic works, until it doesn't. Because the NFL isn't about who's been around longer. It's about who can function when the bullets are live. But inside that building, perception was everything. Practice reps shape narratives. Who runs with the ones, who throws to the starters, who gets the clean looks. And when you don't get those reps, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. Mistakes feel bigger, progress feels slower, and suddenly, not ready becomes a label instead of a phase. Meanwhile, fans are watching Sundays thinking, hold on, I'm seeing something different. They're seeing poise. They're seeing playmaking. They're seeing a quarterback who doesn't look overwhelmed by the moment. But behind closed doors, the evaluation lagged behind reality. Because admitting you were wrong early is hard in the NFL. Ego gets involved, investment gets involved, plans get involved, and that's where the tension really lived. Publicly, it was patience. Privately, it was hesitation. And hesitation in this league isn't neutral, it's a decision. This wasn't about slow development or protecting a young quarterback. This was about control, about sticking to a vision that was supposed to work, even when the evidence started pointing the other way. But the second he stepped on the field, everything shifted. The speed was there. The command was there. The offense looked different, and not in a subtle way. The evaluation changed in real time, and that's the part nobody was prepared for. Because when a quarterback forces the issue like that, it doesn't just challenge defenders. It challenges the people who didn't believe in him first. And once that happens, fear creeps in. Because now the question isn't, is he ready? It's why weren't we? Here's where the story gets uncomfortable, because success didn't buy him safety. It didn't buy him peace. And it definitely didn't buy him trust. That's the part that should bother you. We're used to believing that in the NFL, production solves everything. You play well, you keep your job, you win games, you earn belief. But that's not always how it works for young quarterbacks, especially the ones who weren't part of the original plan. Because sometimes, winning just exposes a bigger problem. You could see it in the body language first, the way answers were delivered, the way sentences started strong and then slowed down. That hesitation, that pause, that split second where a player is deciding how honest he's allowed to be. Those moments matter. Players who feel secure don't speak carefully. They don't choose their words like they're stepping through a minefield. And that's what made it hit harder. Because even after strong performances, even after the numbers backed him up, there was still this underlying tension. Like he knew something the fans didn't. Like he understood that playing well doesn't always change minds, it just makes people uncomfortable. Especially leadership. Especially decision makers who might have to admit they were wrong. This is where the resistance shows up quietly. Not through headlines, not through benchings, at least not yet, but through hesitation, through non-commitment, through the absence of reassurance. And let me tell you something, hesitation from leadership is louder than any criticism from the media. Because when coaches believe in you, they say it. They don't dance around it. They don't leave room for doubt. And that's the scary part for a young quarterback. You start realizing that this league isn't just about what happens between the lines. It's about politics, about timing, about whose vision gets protected. You can throw touchdowns on Sunday and still feel like you're on borrowed time Monday morning. We've seen this before. Talented quarterbacks who kept answering every question on the field, only to realize the real test wasn't football, it was patience. It was waiting to see if belief would ever fully come. And when it doesn't, that's when confidence turns into defiance. That's when you start hearing things in interviews that don't sound right, things that linger, things fans rewind and replay. Because great quarterbacks don't talk like this unless they feel something isn't right. This is the moment where everything starts to feel different, not louder, not flashier, just real. You can feel the shift. Because once a quarterback starts stacking reps, everything speeds up. Reads get cleaner, feet get calmer, throws come out on time, and suddenly, what used to look chaotic starts to look natural. That's not magic. That's reps. That's rhythm. That's a player finally being allowed to breathe inside the offense instead of tiptoeing through it. And now the chemistry is showing up. You see it in the timing routes. You see it when receivers don't hesitate on their breaks. You see it when linemen stay engaged just a half second longer because they believe the play is still alive. That stuff doesn't come from a whiteboard. That comes from trust, from repetition, from knowing the guy behind you is going to make the right decision when it matters. This is why teammates rallying publicly matters so much. Players don't risk that unless they're sure. They don't step out front unless something has already clicked inside the room. And what they're really saying is simple. The confidence is spreading. Faster than the playbook, faster than the install, faster than whatever plan was supposed to happen months ago. Stability unlocks performance. Every quarterback who's ever made the leap will tell you that. Think about it. Jalen Hurts didn't become Jalen Hurts the moment he was drafted. Josh Allen didn't become Josh Allen in year one. They became leaders when the room believed in them, when the offense stopped feeling temporary, when it stopped feeling like, just get through this week, and started feeling like, this is ours. And that's what you're seeing now. Leadership showing up before permission is granted, before press conferences bless it, before depth charts catch up. Locker rooms don't wait for approval. They choose, quietly at first, then all at once. You can tell how players respond to belief. Energy rises, mistakes don't spiral, the offense stops playing scared, and the quarterback? He stops trying to prove himself every snap and starts playing football. That's when growth accelerates. That's when things finally click. Because front offices make plans, but locker rooms make decisions. And once a locker room chooses its quarterback, there's no going back. You can fight it if you want, but this is happening. That's where we are now. This moment has crossed the line from debate to reality, from projection to momentum, from let's see to open your eyes. Because once players show you who they believe in, the clock starts ticking on everything else. Here's the bold truth. You can slow this down, but you can't stop it. Not when the locker room has already made up its mind. Not when confidence has already taken root. Not when the offense feels alive, in a way it didn't before. That toothpaste is out of the tube, and anyone still pretending this is just a phase is lying to themselves. Players don't forget who believed in them, ever. They remember who gave them reps, who spoke their name with conviction, who trusted them when things were still fragile, and they definitely remember who didn't. That stuff matters in this league. It shapes leadership, it shapes loyalty, it shapes how a quarterback carries himself when the lights are brightest. And that's why this feels bigger than a stretch of games, bigger than stats, bigger than a depth chart. This feels like the birth of something organic, the kind of leadership you can't manufacture with press releases or coach speak. The kind that grows in the huddle, in the film room, in the quiet moments when players look around and say, yeah, this is our guy. We've seen franchises change like this before. It never starts with a ceremony. It starts with belief, with momentum, with players elevating their level because they trust the person touching the ball every snap. That's how cultures shift. That's how eras begin. And years from now, fans are going to look back at this stretch and say, that's when it started. Not because everything was perfect, but because something clicked. Because belief showed up before permission. Because leadership emerged without being crowned. This is why belief matters right now. Why it feels heavier. Why it feels louder. Because once a quarterback reaches this point, there's no rewinding the tape. No pretending it didn't happen. The league notices, the locker room remembers, and the player? He grows into it. So whether you embrace it or resist it, understand this. This isn't just noise anymore. This isn't a controversy. This is a declaration.